Hello everybody, it's Richard again, library storyteller, and I'm aiming to tell one long, rambling story for as long as possible, because that is what storytelling is all about. So wherever you are, I hope you're getting by, and I'm just going to get back into the story. So let's go back to that walled city with its clutter of rooftops and its winding cobbled streets. And let's rejoin that group of people sitting on the grass outside the walls. Early in the morning, the birds are singing. Everywhere is green. Everywhere is bright. And they're waiting. They're waiting for somebody to come. It's the person who told them the story the day before. But he's not there. He's not there. And as they wait, they see a figure approaching. Oh yes, there he is, with a book tucked under his arm, smiling and waving at them, saying, I'm sorry, I'm late. Something I had to attend to in the city. And he sits down with them and he says, now, where were we? And at once they lean forward and they say, there was a princess. Oh yes, yes. She walked through the desert. Oh, of course, yes. She found a cave that was filled with books. She went inside. Oh, yes. She read and she read. And the candles in that cave burnt and burnt. Until suddenly the candles went out. And the cave door shut. She was in darkness. She stood up. She sat down again on a pile of books. Her mind was racing. She started to think, of course, the magic spell, the spell that opened the door. And she thought, she remembered it. And she spoke it. Her voice echoed in the cave. But nothing happened. She spoke it again. Her heart was sinking now. A third time. But nothing happened. Nothing happened. She was there in the darkness. In darkness, it is possible to imagine the best and the worst. And the princess started to think, the cave of knowledge, all those books, what was I reading just then? An encyclopedia. And she imagined and recalled at the edge of that encyclopedia, surely there was a space, a gap. Surely she reached out. She touched the books. Her fingers felt the gold embossed lettering. And book by book, she felt herself along the row. She felt until she found the gap. There was a gap there, a narrow space, and it felt cold there. This must be the way out. This must be the way out. And she started to take a step forward, and then another step. It was enclosed. It was a little corridor. She could smell the smell of all the old books, but something else she could smell, and something else she could hear. It sounded like flowing water. She reached forward with one more footstep and found there was a staircase carved into the stone. She took another step and, balancing herself, slowly she stepped down towards the sound of the rushing waters. She found herself on what felt and sounded like a riverbank carved in the stone. She knew that above her was still the great dome of the rock. She could hear the echo of the stream, the echo of the rushing waters. She stood there wondering. And then she saw something at a distance. It seemed to be like a light was coming towards her. A light that, as it got closer, was a lantern on a stick, and as it got closer still, the stick she saw was attached to a boat, and somebody was rowing the boat, back bent into the oars. And she heard a voice. "Oh dear, dear, dear. Oh, my poor arms. Oh, my poor back." It was an old lady, rowing a boat. She drew up alongside the princess and looked up at her. A tiny wrinkled face, a mound of grey hair, and bright piercing eyes. And she said, "Ah, my dear, I thought you might be here. Now, get on the boat, because we have need of you." "Who are you?" "Oh, no time for questions. We have need of you. You've read those books, haven't you?" Yes, I've read those books." "Then we need what you know. Please, my dear, step into the boat. Don't be like the tortoise who didn't want to go travelling with the swans." Now suddenly the princess was interested. She said, "What tortoise? Which swans? I've never heard of them." "Ah," says the old lady. "Well, maybe I'll tell you. Once there was a beautiful pond, and there was a tortoise that lived next to that pond, and there were two swans that used to nest on that pond. The tortoise saw those swans stretching their white wings and flying off into the sky, and he got to wondering. The next time the swans landed on the pond, the tortoise said to them, 'My friends, we share this pond together. We share the food of the pond. So there's a question I'd like to ask you. When you stretch your wings and fly into the sky, where do you go? What's it like?' And those swans looked at one another. Then they gazed down at the tortoise, and they said, 'Would you like to come with us?' 'Me?' said the tortoise. 'Up there? But I can't fly, I'm a tortoise.' And the swan said, 'Well, here's a way of doing it. We'll find a nice stick. We'll hold the stick in our beaks. You hold the stick in your mouth, and we'll fly you up into the sky.' The old lady who was telling this story to the princess by the stone river bank looked at her and said, 'So why don't you be like the tortoise and come on a journey? Because believe me, we need what you know.' And the princess said, 'All right, but only if you promise me one thing.' What happened when the tortoise went flying with the swans? 'Ah,' says the old lady, 'I'll tell you as we row along. Now get in, my dear, and sit down.' And so the princess stepped into the boat. She sat down opposite the old lady. The old lady took the oars and began to row further and further along that dark, dark river enclosed under the great stone. And as she rowed, she said, 'Oh, my back. Oh, my arms. Oh, we have need of you. Come with us.' 'But,' said the storyteller, outside the walled city, jumping up suddenly, 'I've just remembered. I've got to go back. I left some things unattended. I'm sorry.' 'But stop,' the others said. 'You didn't tell us where they were going. You didn't tell us who she is. And you didn't tell us what happened to the tortoise and the swans.' 'Oh,' says the storyteller, 'there's plenty of time for that. Meet me here tomorrow, same time, same place, and I'll answer all your questions.' And so I can say the same thing, apart from the bit about answering all your questions. If you meet me tomorrow, same time, same place, I'll tell you where the princess went with the old lady. I'll tell you where the tortoise went with the swans. And I'll tell you what happened to the walled city. But until then,